Hi, everyone. We're so thrilled to have you today for another episode of Dr.Podcast. Today, we're going to have my co-host and wonderful colleague and friend, Dr. Olaby. She's going to discuss her PhD journey with us today. All right, so thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Yeah. So do you want to just start off by introducing yourself and then what initially sparked your interest in pursuing a PhD?
Sure. So my name is Dr. Reem Olaby. I'm a pharmacist with a master's and a PhD in biotechnology, and I also have a master's in public health. I'm currently a professor of pharmacology and biotechnology, in addition to other courses that I'm teaching as well, like neuroscience, for instance. As for the discipline that I did my PhD in, it's just that I was always fascinated with drug discovery, and also my passion for that field got bigger after pursuing my pharmacy degree. In addition to that, back then, hepatitis C virus was really a huge public health burden in Egypt. That is why I decided, why not pursue my master's and PhD in biotechnology? Maybe I can contribute to that field. Maybe I can identify some drug leads that could help in treating this disease.
That's fantastic. So do you think that a lot of it was like a stepping stone? So like each part kind of like went from like one aspect to the next in terms of your journey?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure. Like when you join, it's like you said, it's different stops within your journey, and every stop equips you with more insights, with more ideas, and it could either expand on your passion or make you feel that, you know what, I don't think that this is what I want to pursue. So
Exactly.
luckily my stops were scaffolding.
Yeah, because that can happen, like you think that you're interested in something and then lo and behold, you find that that's not really what I'm passionate and what I want to do research on. So I feel like that happens more times than people actually talk about and mention in academia.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, so we'll go on to the next question. So what challenges did you face, right, during your PhD? And then also, how did you overcome those obstacles or challenges?
Great question. Of course, we all know that pursuing a PhD is not a small feat, right? And my journey definitely came with unique challenges that shaped not only my research, but also the resilience and the perseverance that I tried to, get equipped with throughout the journey. So, for instance, at one point, I was juggling the roles of being a researcher and also being a mother of a toddler, a 2-year-old, in addition to expecting another child. So I was pregnant during the beginning of my PhD. So I got my PhD baby basically back then.
Yep. So, I can't imagine doing all of that, right? And being in grad school, it's a lot.
It's not easy. So imagine, I had to travel, of course, to the US to do all my research. So imagine traveling alone, pregnant with a toddler, and also at the same time being determined to complete the crucial research part for me to be able to pursue my PhD in different universities. And in addition to that, some experiments were really beyond my reach because of timing and circumstances. So this also pushed me to step out of my comfort zone and connect with experts, build collaborations that ultimately helped me in enriching my research.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Those are challenges, in addition to also having to publish papers, coordinate your thesis defense with committee members. And in my case, the committee members were scattered across different universities. So I had to always ensure that everything stayed on track, that it was a logistical and logistic-wise, and because it was a logistical and emotional marathon, I have to admit. So when I look back, those challenges did teach me the true meaning of perseverance, resourcefulness, and in addition, and that's very important, the power of asking for help, because it wasn't easy, but it did shape the person and the professional that I am today. And there were a couple of strategies, because you asked about the strategies, or how did I overcome those challenges. A couple of strategies did help me throughout my journey. One of which is prioritizing my tasks, setting clear boundaries, creating, flexible schedules that allowed me to balance my research, my family, my personal needs, taking care of my health, right? So that's one. Another is actually trying to leverage my support system, my support network. Because every one of us does have a support network, family, mentors, friends, colleagues. So I felt that I should not shy away from asking for help and guidance whenever needed. And this is how I try to utilize my support system optimally.
That is so important. I think so many times people don't want to ask for help, right, and support. But I mean, that's what we need to do sometimes to actually accomplish what we're setting out to do.
Exactly. Because like you said, some people do feel, you know what, I don't want to ask anyone for help. I will just do my best and keep going without asking, because as if it lessens from their sense of achievement somehow.
Right. Yep. Well, I'm glad that you were able to do that, acquire those skills, right? Flourish. So that's the most important thing.
It is, in addition, actually, to adaptability. So the PhD journey is not a straightforward journey. It's not a straight line. You will find a lot of changes that happen. You will find unexpected things that might happen, a lot of uncertainties. So we need to be adaptable as possible, in embracing these unexpected changes, in adjusting plans accordingly. So that was one thing also that really helped me. In addition, of course, to trying to manage my time effectively, I used things as simple as sticky notes, whether it's on the computer or physical sticky notes.
Yes, I've used those too so many times throughout the years. It's so important to actually jot down, right? So I can actually remember what I need to do.
Yes, because our mind is filled with so many things. So if we did not utilize even simple tools to help us remember what's important to do, we will definitely miss a lot of things. So that's one strategy. And then another was trying to always remember to enjoy the small steps that I take, to celebrate the small milestones, to take small moments of self-care. I always try to keep a positive outlook on the overall journey in order to keep being motivated in tough times. I have to admit that there were times when I doubted myself. I wondered how I could possibly balance everything. It was really challenging. But then there were these moments where I would look at Miriam, who was my 2-year-old back then, and tell her, you know what, I'm doing this for both of us and for your brother to be, and for the family, right?
Right. See, that's so fantastic, that you were able to have that support system and to look at them and say that's a huge source, right, of inspiration and, just saying I'm going to do this for you, for my family as well. I love that.
Exactly. So
awesome.
That was, in a nutshell, the different challenges. Of course, we can always go on and on and on. I mean, there are so many stories.
Oh, yeah.
So many challenges, having to commute at some point between Sacramento and Palo Alto to go and do research in Stanford. So I used to do that every day, imagine. And then I decided, you know what, I'm going to take my daughter and go to Palo Alto, find a suitable daycare. And then when it did not work, I went back to commuting almost every day.
You find a way to make it work, you're okay, how can I actually be more efficient? And you just find ways, right, to plow ahead and move forward. That's great.
Exactly.
So for the next question is, can you describe a memorable interaction that you had with a mentor? Maybe it was a colleague, right, someone that you had met that influenced your approach to research or academia?
Definitely. I mean, there were many memorable interactions that had a positive impact on my journey from different mentors, from different colleagues. Let's see. One of the most impactful pieces of advice that I received was from my advisor back then, who was actually my master's and PhD advisor. And what he did is he told me that it's very important to make sure that everything I do should lead to something tangible, whether it's a paper, a patent, or a new collaboration. And I have to admit that this guidance did help me focus on creating meaningful outcomes from every effort that I've done. And that, and that I made sure that each step of my journey had a purpose and that it contributed to my growth as a researcher and as an innovator.
Yeah, because I think so many times, right, we're trying to move forward and we're not realizing, okay, how does this actually lead to the next step? I think it's so important to have that clear focus in mind. So
so that is why it's very important to sometimes have someone who helps you put things into perspective. So that was one encounter. Another was by my co-mentor, and it's somehow on the personal side. So, and it was really impactful because what happened is that she is a mother herself. So she made me feel less guilty in times when I had to work more than usual and be away from my daughter back then. And she told me something that I always carry with me, that it's not a matter of quantity, it's a matter of quality of time, which made me more conscious on the quality of time I'm spending with my kids. So that was really, really very important.
That's so true, because we'll start with the next question. So you already discussed this, a few times, but maybe we can kind of talk more about it. So how did you balance all the demands, right? You were talking about even having family. That's one stressor that I didn't have. So how were you able to keep up with everything? You mentioned some strategies that you employed, but can you go into more detail about how you were able to juggle everything on your plate?
Definitely. So, like I said, it was very important to engage my support system. So, engage my family members. They did help with the kids, especially after my baby boy was born. Like I said, also, the advice and guidance from the mentors did help me a lot. I did engage my daughter because she was, a little bit older. Of course, I cannot take my baby to the lab, but my daughter was a little bit older. She can understand a little bit what's going on. So by the time she was 4, I used to take her to the lab with me. And this is how she actually got now interested in pursuing a degree in medicine in addition to doing research. So that's sort of a good way to feel less guilty and to try and balance being a mother in addition to being a researcher and pursuing my PhD. So there are all sorts of ways to help.
You mentioned though too, a lot of the guilt, and I think that's something that we should talk a little bit more about, right? Is that women in academia kind of had this layer on top of everything else, right? The guilt of trying to split yourself right between personal and professional. So do you want to speak a little bit more about that? Do you feel like it was more challenging than your male colleagues?
Definitely. If you ask any female in the field, in the STEM field, or in general, professional women, I believe that you would find some of them feeling guilty, whether towards their, loved ones or if they're mothers toward their kids, because somehow they're always put in under this pressure where, if you're doing this, then you're lacking in this, or if you're doing this, then you're lacking in this. Nonetheless, if we put all those judgments and labels aside and we started believing in ourselves, in our capabilities, in the power of moderation, and in the power of trying as much as possible to be productive and to balance between different things, we will see that it is achievable. And we will see that, sometimes the stumbling blocks are us caring about what others believe or what others think of us or how others label us. Not yeah. So this is what I have to say.
That's so true. We even talk about it in social psychology. It's a social comparison effect, right? Everyone's constantly like, comparing. So I'm glad that you were able to like find that balance though, and I think it goes back to what you said before about prioritization, right? Figuring out what's important day to day and then making that at the top of your list.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so for the next question, what role did collaboration play in your PhD research, and how did it impact your outcomes that you had?
Collaboration. It's a very pivotal and crucial element to the success of my PhD for sure, and to the success of anyone doing research. Because without it, I truly believe that I wouldn't have been able to finish my PhD to start with. So early on, I learned how to establish different partnerships with experts from leading institutions, and I was really lucky to establish several collaborations with Caltech, UC Irvine, Stanford, Johns Hopkins, Rutgers, UC Davis, in addition to the Institut Pasteur de Lille in France. And believe it or not, one of my published papers had 15 co-authors on it, which shows and is a testament to how vital collaboration is in generating impactful data. And when it comes to the field of drug discovery, especially when tackling a public health challenge like hepatitis C virus or malaria, which is my Plan B project, bringing together diverse expertise is really essential to creating meaningful progress. So yeah, this is how much I believe in the power of collaboration.
Yeah, but 15 co-authors, that's a lot. I think the most I've had is like 5 or 6. So
yeah, so that was a large paper.
Yeah, requiring a lot of patience, I'm sure, with like conflicting, schedules and priorities. So trying to get everyone on the same page. Yes. So bravo for that.
Thank you.
Okay, and then for our last question, so looking back, what do you think that you're most proud of achieving? You've achieved so much, but what is one thing that really stands out that you look back and you're like, wow, I did so great with this?
I love that question again. So when I reflect on my PhD journey, the accomplishment that I feel I'm most proud of is managing to juggle the demands of motherhood while pursuing my research, traveling alone with my toddler while pregnant, working long lab hours, and still finding ways to engage my daughter, taking care of myself, maintaining a strong network of collaborators. And that all was really challenging, but I was so privileged and, to be able to pursue all that and achieve or realize my dream of pursuing a PhD at the end. And through it all, I feel that I never gave up on myself or my dream of completing that milestone. The perseverance, despite the challenges that I've been facing, did stand out as the greatest source of pride for me. So yeah. And of course, this would have never happened without the support system.
Yeah, that's so key. It's like it's not just one person journey. Like there's so many other people that are involved, like in the path.
Definitely.
And then I know I said that was the last thing, but I'm curious. So do you have like one piece of advice? So say someone's applying for a PhD program, right? They want to pursue their doctorate. What is one piece of advice that you would give that student or prospective student?
Okay. Slow down. No, I'm kidding. So my message or my key advice to anyone who is considered a doctorate is this. It is going to test you in ways that you have never expected. And it will also shape you into the person and the professional that you're meant to be. So in order to be able to pursue it successfully, you need to stay focused on your passion. You need to build a strong support network and never underestimate the power of perseverance, because this is very important.
Yes.
Definitely, there will be a lot of challenges, but the impact that you can make is definitely immeasurable because of
Yeah.
your passion. This is the spark that pushed you to pursue something huge like this, right? So if you are ready to dedicate yourself to making a meaningful difference, then definitely go for it, because the world does need your contributions in whatever discipline you're interested in.
Exactly. And no matter what, right, what route you pursue after a PhD, it's going to give you those foundational skills that you can apply to anywhere, right? Be it academia, right outside industry. So it's so foundational,
Definitely.
like all of that.
Yes, that's so true. So true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, as long as there is passion, then definitely go for it. When there's the will, there's the way.
There's a way. That's so true. Yep. I love that. So, is there one last piece of information that you would give to anyone within your discipline that's considering of pursuing a PhD?
Okay, so which means a PhD in biotechnology, right?
Yes.
Or something that is related.
Yes, within your discipline.
So pursuing a PhD in biotechnology, drug discovery is challenging. Yet it's really rewarding. It's a very rewarding journey. So again, going back to passion, if you're passionate about scientific innovation, trying to make a real world impact, it can definitely be the perfect path for you. But be prepared, and this is a warning, for long lab hours, for setbacks, for facing the unexpected, for being okay with not achieving the results that you were hoping for negative results. The process does require resilience. It does require critical thinking. It does require, like I said before, a strong network of support. So if you are definitely ready to commit to that constant learning, collaboration, and contributing to the advancements in healthcare, a PhD can definitely open doors to exciting opportunities in both academia and industry, because you can always pursue a job in the industry field, in biotech companies, pharmaceutical companies, and so on and so forth. So in general, just to conclude, whether you are thinking of applying for a PhD in biotech or in any field, or whether you want to be a doctorate degree holder, and to like being a professional, a degree holder like Doctor of Medicine, Pharmacy, it's always about passion. If you're passionate, no matter how many challenges you're going to face, it will never back you down from continuing your journey.
Exactly. Those are wonderful words of wisdom. That's so true. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your experience and answering the questions. And we're just so thrilled to have you on here for Dr. Podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It was really a pleasure. And thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.